more on this and bring in Shahram Akbarzadeh from Melbourne in Australia. He's the Professor of Middle East Politics at Deakin University. Thanks very much indeed for your time, Professor. It does appear there is pleasure. It appears there's a growing support for this reformist candidate, Masoud Pezeshkian. Big crowds at his rallies. Has his popularity and his rise added something of an element of unpredictability to this election?
Well, I think that's a very good question, and remains to be seen whether Pezeshkian can really galvanize popular support and bring reformist-minded voters to the ballot box, because higher participation rate have typically favored reformists. But what we have witnessed in the past decades is that reformist leaders, reformist presidents have failed to deliver. Khatami failed to deliver, Rouhani failed to deliver, and the reformist public has basically lost hope that anything could change because of the very strict and closed nature of the political system in Iran, which basically means the president has very limited power to make effective changes.
But he has declared what immoral the actions of Iran's morality police and their enforcement of the strict dress code on women. He's also tried to promise to improve relations with the West and revive nuclear talks to try and aid the economy. Given all that, you can see why he might be very popular to quite a large percentage of the population.
Sure. I mean, he is repeating all the key reformist demands, and that's all very familiar territory. By the same token, when pressed about how he is going to achieve these, he has made it clear that he will be working with the supreme leader. So he is acknowledging that his hands are tied. So it remains to be seen whether the Iranian public, those who are reform-minded, would believe him and would get excited with his campaign and turn out to the ballot box and vote for him. And as a result of doing so, would lend legitimacy to the regime as a whole, because the supreme leader has been very clear about this, that participation rate at the election is a matter of, it's like a referendum and a vote of confidence for the whole regime.
Although we have heard that there is widespread voter apathy as well. I just wonder what your assessment is as to what extent these elections will indeed be free and fair.
I think we can expect that there would be minimal interference in the conduct of the ballot boxes and the voting. I don't expect there would be fraud at ballot boxes, simply because the conservatives dominate and control the field. Also, it's very clear that if there is fraud, open and widespread fraud, there would be a public backlash, and we have already witnessed that in the 2009 election. So the Iranian public is pretty much disillusioned with the system as a whole. The Iranian public sees the regime as corrupt and incompetent. If there is charges of corruption, that would simply prove that belief and would further alienate the public from the system.
And look, very briefly, we saw those widespread protests following the death of Mahsa Amini. We know that women are now regularly flouting the rules about wearing the hijab in public. Do you see, or do you predict that there could be a major societal shift in the coming years?
Well, we have already seen a societal shift. The Iranian public is going in one direction, the regime is pulling in the other direction. So, especially in major cities, in capital cities, the Iranian public has really put religion to the side as a private matter. And this has also led to many Islamic scholars challenging the idea that religion should or questioning whether religion should govern society and govern politics. So there's already a divide between society and the ruling ideology.
Shahram, we thank you very much indeed for coming on the News Hour. Appreciate your analysis today.
Thanks for having me.